Hi guys, I'm Jess,
And I'm Heidi.
and this is Betty Squared. Welcome to chapter 52, The Raid. And in true me fashion, I did look it up to see if it was a movie title or anything like that, and I found nothing. there was there was a movie called The Raid 2. I have no idea what it's about because I was like, wait, The Raid 2? Where's The Raid 1? Um, oh, and now surprisingly, it pops up. Well, that's annoying. Okay, there is a movie called The Raid. Give me 30 seconds to see if this. Okay, cool. It has no synopsis. So
Hmm.
there is no way of me linking that in any way, shape, or form to this episode. Cool. So I'm gonna go back to my original statement of there is no there is no movie that this is based on, or no similarities between the title of this episode and a movie of the same name.
Yeah, if anything, it would make sense if, although we don't know what the context of the movie is, that it probably has to do with some sort of like drug or some sort of criminal act happening, and then it was raided by police or something like that, which kind of happens in this episode. So that would be the only thing that I think would make sense.
Totally, I think so as well. It was just weird that IMDb would be like, "Hey, here's the movie The Raid 2," but not show me the options for just The Raid. So I apologize that I was coming in so strong, only yet again to be fooled by IMDb.
Foiled again by our nemesis, IMDb. No,
Exactly.
they're bros. They're bros of the podcast. Love IMDb.
It does, doesn't it? Oh my goodness. Well, where would you like to start with this episode? I don't have a huge amount of notes for this episode.
I'm just like glancing over my notes because I don't have that many either. I have some, but just not like a ton. This episode was kind of like
Filler?
not filler because I do think important plot points happen to move the story forward. I mean, we met Edgar, that's pretty big, but I think it was mostly just like nothing. I mean, big-ish things happened, like big adjacent things happened,
Right.
but like this because we found out some juicy stuff in this one, but like it all seems like just propelling the story forward, which is great, and I'm not mad about it. But it's just not like we come off the musical episode and that's kind of a high, and this is kind of like a okay, but this is the world and we have to just keep going. A
Exactly.
thing a thing that I was thinking about throughout the episode with Jughead and Gladys's interactions, and then with Alice and Betty's interactions in this episode. One of my notes is it's particularly to Alice, but it also could have been said to Gladys as well. I just wrote, "Not the way parenthood works, Alice."
I know. Well, when she steps out of, what was the gargoyle room, I imagine,
Yes.
and she's in that white suit, the first thing I thought was they just don't know how to dress her. Yes, that suit looked better than a lot of the other options we've seen her in, but I feel like they just don't know what direction they're gonna put Alice in. So it's a bit of a mishmash of like, oh, now she looks really professional. Now she looks like a total hippie. Now she looks like a hot mess. Now she's very stylized. I just feel like they don't know what direction this character is heading in. So they're just kind of throwing everything in and seeing what works. I liked the fact that she was a little bit more dressed up. I didn't like the completely white suit. I think it's very dated. It made her look much older than she actually is. But then, yeah, let's dive into the fact that she gives Betty a hard time for not reaching out. She's the mom.
Yeah.
She's the one that sold the house without Betty knowing, basically threw Betty out on her ass. Granted, it was Betty's choice to go and live with Veronica, but what other choice did she have?
She didn't. She used the word forsook. That was a note I had. I was like, I just in all caps wrote forsook.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't think that was a real word. I had to Google it. I was like, for sure?
Because it's old timey. It's an old timey word used by old, like, what are they called? Oh, the like crotchety old guys in like a coal mine. You know, I'm thinking of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. And it's just not something you would ever hear in this day and age. And even somebody like Cheryl, I don't think could pull that off.
No, if she would be the closest person to doing it, but even she could not pull off saying forsook in a modern-ish context. I know they like to like be like, we don't really know what era this is taking place in, but it's more modern than old-timey. It has
Yeah.
elements.
Yeah, it was weird. It stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm not really sure what the point of having that in there was, but
Yeah, it was all strange, but I mean, it was um it was just disappointing to hear her kind of go in, like she went in on Betty about all of that stuff that she was saying. But it's her responsibility to stay close with her daughter if that's what she wants. If she wants a close relationship with Betty, that's her responsibility. It's not a child's responsibility. She's a child. But of course, teens aren't children in Riverdale. They're the ones who run the show. So I guess what's
e-
real anymore?
exactly. I feel like I have a note on that, but I'll get to that in a second because what I wanted to ask you is, are we meant to believe that Alice is actually staying at the farm? Like, is that where she's living?
Yeah, she said that she was buying the house, selling the house to go live on the farm.
Okay, so here's the thing. Go and live on the farm. I think I said it last week or maybe the week before. It's very clear that the farm is not actually a farm.
I mean, at least as far as we know, yeah.
Right, so it's kind of like now that they're at the Sisters of Quiet Mercy, were they on a farm before? Or is that just the name? Like it's a farm because it's like, I don't know, a flock of sheep and you find that on a farm or something. I don't know. I need
Yeah,
an explanation, you know?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if people are living at the Sisters of Quiet Mercy right now, or uh if that's just like a place that they have, like a holding ground that they have. I'm not really sure. I think that's answers are still to come on all that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I am really enjoying this storyline now. I know earlier on after the that mid-season break, you and I were really like, "Oh God, we're not enjoying this. Like, what is going on? You know, is Edgar even real?" And I think last week or the musical episode, the Heather's episode, was just like so groundbreaking that I'm back on board with the story and I'm like, actually, you know what? I'm enjoying myself. I like what we're seeing. So yeah, I'm curious now with the farm. I'm kind of more on board with it now than I was initially. Because I was like, it just needs to go away and the people that are there need to die, and then we can move on from this awful storyline. But now
Yeah,
I'm on board. Now I'm like, cool. I want to see. I want to see what's going on. And it's totally because of Chad Michael Murray.
yeah.
Like
Single-handedly brought us back.
he is a perfectly perfect looking human being.
Yes. Yeah,
Like
he is.
he is so pretty
Hmm.
and oh my god, even like when he came in this episode and took over the interview
Hmm.
and he goes up to Evelyn and like, you know, gives her a little kiss on the cheek and he's like, "Oh, you know, thanks sweetheart," or "I'll take over from now, sweetheart," or something like that.
Yeah,
I was
very
like,
sweet.
damn, he's so fucking hot.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Like,
is.
so hot. But at the same time, even though he's in his late 30s, damn, he could still play a high school student.
I don't know about that, but like he's
I mean,
super hot.
if they had thrown him in at a different context, like if they had put him in as like one of the seniors of the Bulldogs or something like that at Riverdale High, I would have been on board. I would have totally bought it.
No, I don't. I wouldn't have, but like I can understand the thought process. He would just be. It's like, I mean, R.I.P. Like God rest his soul. Corey Monteith was just too old to play like a.
Oh, yeah.
I loved him. I still get very upset about him often, but
Yeah.
like still too old to play a high schooler. Like also because he was so tall. Yeah, but he is very attractive, and I'm happy to watch him again on screen. He is fun, and he's also not a bad actor. He's very good. I really enjoyed. I understood why he's the leader of the farm. I understood why um, he's getting so many people to follow him, and I understand why Cheryl wanted to go back and talk to him again.
Yeah, and that all makes perfect sense about the fact that, she feels like he's an easy person to talk to. I mean, look at the way I'm reacting, and I'm not even a part of this storyline because he has this, he's very attractive, he's very charismatic, and he has this natural charisma and ease about him where you're like, you know what? If I was grieving somebody very close to me, I would feel like I could confide in him. It's it's very interestingly cast, this role of Edgar, because I think you and I have both said that we were expecting somebody much older, but the fact that he's so attractive and the fact that he's so charismatic really caught me off guard because I was like, nope, the farm is bull, the farm is rubbish, forget it, forget it, forget it. But you just introduce that little bit of charisma, and suddenly you're like, actually. And then, obviously, with the big revelation this episode with what these people are seeing when they're inducted into the farm, I'm starting to think like maybe the farm isn't all that bad.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm most curious about how they are. So what we haven't said it, but what we
No, I
kind of.
wasn't sure if we should or not. What do you think?
What do you mean?
Like, should we say what these people are seeing at the farm? Should we just
I
come
mean,
out with it?
I don't see why not.
Okay, I'll just put a disclaimer when I post this that this is going to contain spoilers because sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But if people are like a week behind and they're just listening to this episode, I don't want it to be spoiled for them.
I mean, man, we're talking about what happened in this episode. So if you didn't watch, like, I don't know what to tell you. You're spoiling yourself. That's not our fault.
Exactly. Do your research because we do.
Yeah, just like,
Sometimes.
the bare minimum is just watching the episode that we're talking about. Like you don't have to do anything else. That's literally it.
Okay,
But
so obviously they're going to the farm and they keep going back because they're somehow Edgar is able to show them their deceased loved ones.
yeah, not just show them, like they are able to talk
Interact.
to them and interact with them. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Cheryl got to talk with Jason again, which is, the one thing that if Cheryl's gonna do anything for anything, it's gonna be to see her brother again because he's her person. As
Right.
much as she loves Tony and as much as she cares about Betty, they've gotten a lot closer. But as much as she cares about anybody else, she cares about her brother 10 times more. Um, and the way that they got Alice was by allowing her to talk to Charles, her supposedly dead son. Although I thought maybe he wouldn't be dead, but I
I
guess he
don't think
was.
he is either. I think there's still more to come with that, I think.
So then, I mean, this kind of after they revealed that, I then went, well, who we don't know who oh my gosh, names have flown out of my brain. Kevin. we don't know who Kevin is seeing. As far as we know, his mom's alive.
Kevin's mom?
Kevin's mom.
No, I
Or
thought she passed away.
maybe she's dead. I don't know. I thought that she was alive. I thought that we just didn't like know anything about her.
Oh, yeah, yeah, she was, because remember when Sheriff Keller and Mayor McCoy were having the affair?
Mm-hmm.
They said
Yeah.
something about, or mom, how do you think mom's going to feel, or something like that. I don't know. That was like 2 seasons ago. It doesn't stay in my brain that long.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So we don't really know who he's seeing, and then it made me think about Polly, and she, in theory, would probably be seeing Jason as well.
Right.
Um, So it just makes me think too of the possibilities of if it's inevitable to me that Betty is going to either she's gonna foil the cult and she's gonna expose it and really like get them out, or I think it's way more likely that our poor Betty is gonna succumb to it.
I don't know. I don't know if she's fully on board yet.
No,
I
she's definitely not yet, but at some point I think even if it's against her will, or even if she doesn't, even if she's not truly committing, but she's like doing it because she wants to see what they're seeing and she wants to get in on it. Um, I wonder who she's going to see. It might be Chick, even though I'm not necessarily convinced that he's dead either.
I hope he is. He was really annoying. I
And I
couldn't
did
stand
see
him.
she did post something where she was with him at an airport or something. So I wonder if he was back to film something with her.
What? This is on Lily's Twitter?
On her Instagram.
Oh. Oh God, I hope they're just friends and he doesn't come back to the show because I did not like his character at all. I could not stand him.
Yeah, I mean, it just so for me, this revelation of sorts that this is what the farm is doing, and this is what they're truly giving to people. That this is why people are kind of joining them is because they can give them an experience, whether it's obviously not real, but real or not. They can give them a unique experience that no one else can, and that just opened my mind to like the possibilities of what that could mean for the rest of our cast of characters in the show. Like, what is that going to mean for these other guys if they end up joining or reluctantly joining or get brainwashed or whatever? I'm very curious to see where this will go. It's a very interesting. I was very surprised. I didn't think that. I had no idea that it would take that kind of turn, and a lot of the times it's pretty easy to make assumptions about where the story is going to go.
Yeah. I don't know. I, Riverdale is very good at this. Riverdale's very good at hiding the information until you just can't take it anymore and they finally release what you've been waiting all season for.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, turning the clock back and going back to the very beginning of the episode, I wanted to comment on one of Veronica's lines that I just freaking loved. Obviously, Veronica's, bussing tables at Pops, which is crazy that she still waitresses there when she owns the nightclub underneath. But whatever.
Saving
Like,
money, working. If she does it, then she doesn't have to pay someone to do it.
I don't know if I believe that she still works at the nightclub. She still busses tables at Pops, and she goes to high school. Not sure about that. But anyway, she can do her, and I'll do me, and everything will be fine. But I initially was like, why is she being so nice to Evelyn? So, when Evelyn comes in, she's like, hey, can I put up these posters? And Veronica's like, absolutely. I was like, why is she being so nice? And then I loved that line where Betty didn't really say anything, and Veronica just looks at her and goes, of course I'll go with you.
Yeah, that was my first note. That's so funny.
Is it? Because that's my first note.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I said I love the silent conversation that they had with their eyes.
Right, exactly. They barely had to say anything. And well, they didn't. They didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's like, of course I'll go with you. I was like, oh, I love this. I was like, good. I'm glad Veronica wasn't like actually seriously being nice about Evelyn putting the things up. She had that ulterior motive, and I love it. I loved it, loved it, loved it.
Yeah, me too. It was a great. We haven't had too many little best friendy moments, but this episode and the last one too had some sweet little V and B moments again.
Yeah, and we haven't had a lot of that. Everybody's been sort of off doing their own storyline, and we haven't really had, that classic four back together.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, yeah, I liked that this episode sort of started with that. I was like, this is really sweet. I love this. I love what they're doing right here.
Yeah.
Another classic one-liner for this episode, and I'm wondering if you picked up and you were like, oh god, Jess is going to say something, is Jelly Bean. She's back. She says one line, she gets her paycheck, and she gets out of Dodge. Dad, we're missing the morning cartoons. That's it. That's all she said this episode.
Also, I mean, I love cartoons. I'm an adult who loves cartoons. I love animation. I'm very passionate about animation and things like that. And I think it's totally okay for adults and different age ranges to enjoy cartoons and things like that. But a teenager is not getting up and watching Saturday morning cartoons. A teenager is sleeping till noon, rolling out of bed, staying in their PJs until 10 o'clock at night, and then going to hang out with their friends. I mean, maybe that was just my experience as a teenager, but I like this is just so obviously her trying to manipulate her dad and like get on his good side and all that stuff. Like it's just so obvious. I want to like punch FP in the face. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe that he's kind of falling for all of this.
Oh, he's just like they've totally got him played, and if I feel so bad for him because it's gonna really suck when he finds out the truth. It's gonna hit him
Yeah,
real hard.
yeah, I think so too. Which I don't know. Maybe he already knows, but he's just desperately trying to push it all aside.
Yeah, like he doesn't want to believe it, so he pretends like it's not true. He did get very emotional this episode with Jughead, and I thought that was interesting. It was more not that he's not emotional. We've seen him be emotive with Jughead. He's very passionate about his son, and we've seen him do that before. But it was just so intense. I thought that there might be more to that, so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, I hated that scene when he was yelling at Jughead. I thought it was really forced.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, I don't know. I would need to go back and watch it again to like I wasn't necessarily like inspecting the acting in that moment. I was kind of like with the emotional beats and story beats of it, and I was literally just on the edge of my seat waiting for Jughead to say it's mom. Like I was kind of paying more attention to Jughead in that scene because I really thought he was going to just expose her in that moment, but he didn't.
I think there's lots of opportunities where he could expose her, but I think he's waiting for a big like aha moment.
Yeah, and I really think he doesn't want to hurt his dad. I think he wants I think he doesn't want to be the one to hurt his dad and do that to him. He would rather just get rid of Gladys and have her leave because she's hurt him before, and
Yeah,
he thinks that she's the one hurting them anyway. So he wants it to be on her. He doesn't want it to be on himself. I wouldn't want to be that person either, who kind of feels like they have to have that burden. So
yeah, it's strange. It's strange, but yeah, I think it's he doesn't want to let her down, and I think he's fighting really hard to try and keep that relationship, even though it's toxic in every kind of sense.
yeah, it's totally toxic. I My second note is, and I kind of touched on it before when I was talking about Alice and Betty, that all of the parent-child relationships from this episode are kind of weird, and specifically Jughead and Gladys, interactions specifically in this episode too were just weird. Like I get such gross vibes from her and the way she handles Jughead and the ways that she deals with him and communicates with him. I really don't like Gladys.
No, me either. She needs to go,
Yeah.
but I think she's there to take the heat off of Hiram.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the baddie of this season anymore. It's Moon.
Right. And that's why, like, earlier I was like, they're trying to redeem him. Who knows? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but he's certainly not the baddie of this season.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
it could even be a just like he's not the one because he's not doing anything. He's not the one other than with Veronica and that whole situation, but to like our group as a whole and to the town, like he's not endangering them in any way at this moment. He's kind of not the big issue. And there's also the that old saying of the devil you know. He's the one that they know how to deal with and they've dealt with him before. Gladys is kind of she's new. We don't really know how to deal with her. She's different. So I definitely think if they had the choice, they would rather just deal with Hiram because it's the devil you know. They know how to deal with him.
Exactly, exactly. But Gladys is a new kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're sneaky and
I
I don't like them.
Oh God, no, me either. They just all need to go away so our lovely foursome can live happily ever after. But then I suppose we'd have no more Riverdale if that was the case.
No show. We would just need to read the comics, I guess.
Yeah, which is not the end of the world, but I'm enjoying things. Now after, the Heather's episode, I'm back on board for season 3.
Yeah, same.
I could not stop laughing at both Betty's interview and then Cheryl's interview. It reminded me so much of Scientology, and I apologize profusely if anybody listening is a Scientologist, but it's not a religion. It's it's a following, and that's truly how I feel about it all. My old roommate from when I was living in New Jersey was a Scientologist, and he was really great about it. I was like, look, I am not on board with Scientology, and he was very open and very non-forceful about it on me, but he was very much like, come to me if you have questions. I like ask me. I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to, be able to tell you more about it, blah, blah, blah. And we did. We sat down one day and had a big conversation about it. And what he told me was so reminiscent of what we saw in this episode about like the types of questions that they ask.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, oh, this is like a little too close to home for me. I was like, oh, this is a bit too real.
Ooh, that's really interesting. Yeah, because we keep talking about it, and the show refers to the farm and all that kind of situation as a cult. But I mean, Scientology, if it's not a religion, it's a cult, and I think that's pretty accurate description. Also, I don't apologize because are Scientologists allowed to listen to podcasts? I don't know. Um,
I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, I don't think there's any rules that they can't.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that it works, but I don't know. It if you're a Scientologist and you're not used to people shitting on your shit, then I don't know what you're doing. Like I'm sure they're probably pretty used to it by now. So, no disclaimer from me. But um, but I think that's like a really interesting kind of connection because I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but
Oh, really? Like, not at all?
I mean, just because I don't really think about Scientology often. But since Scientology is a cult, it definitely makes sense. But yeah, the interview process was super weird, and I was like, this is I don't know how you get anything from this. I don't know. It was strange.
It was strange, but yeah, those questions of like, what's your favorite color? Do you bite your nails? Are you stressed? They're all similar questions to what you're asked in a Scientology interview or a stress test, as they call it.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense if that's what they kind of based it off of.
Yeah. I do want to tell you something that my old roommate, the Scientologist, told me, and I have always kept it in my back pocket. And I'm like, one day I'm going to use this. He told me if anybody ever pisses you off, the best thing to do is give their phone number to Scientology. Because he said Scientologists, especially the people that like recruit, are so persistent. They will call every day, 3 times a day, until you eventually answer your phone or change your number.
Oh my God, that's evil.
Isn't it? But I love, he was, like I said, he was a very open Scientologist. And he's like, oh my God, Jess, if anyone ever pisses you off, give their phone number to Scientology and I'll have them call. He was like so encouraging of it. And I was like, that is so fucking funny. So I've always kept it in my back pocket. I've never done it. And there's been plenty of people who have pissed me off. God, in the last week alone, let alone the amount of time that I've had this knowledge. But one day, somebody's just going to rub me up the wrong way. And I'm going to give their number to Scientology.
So don't piss off Jess, guys. You want to leave her alone.
Don't piss off Jess unless you want to have to change your number. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've known this for 4.5 years and I've never done it, but you know, it's there. It's there in the back of my mind, and I'm like, one day, yeah.
Never say never.
Exactly, because one day somebody's going to push me too far, and that's going to be it. I'm going to snap and call Scientology and leave your number.
Oh my God.
Oh, goodness. One other thing I commented on with these interviews, Scientology, you know, separate from that, I love the fact that children are doing these interviews. Evelyn is interviewing Betty. First of all, she's going to be biased because she knows that Betty's not on board.
Yeah.
But why is a child conducting an interview like this?
Because children are in charge of Riverdale.
I know. And I know you say that every time. I'm like, why are the children doing this? Where are the grown-ups? But if I rocked up to a Scientology office and then they put me in an office with a 16-year-old child, I would literally be like, where are your parents? Why are you here? Do you need me to call somebody for you? Are you in trouble? I was like, no, Evelyn, you can't do these interviews. You're a baby. Yes, I know that your dad is like the president or the founder or the, I don't know, Hitler of the cult of the farm, but still, you can't conduct these interviews yourself. It just was dumb. It was dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. It's just true.
Exactly. Oh my God, I just read my next note and it's really funny, but it's your turn. So you jump in if you would like to.
Oh gosh. I was really excited to see Mad Dog again, but that's not like a full thought. That's just me being happy. I love when he's there. I just enjoy him.
Did he always have such crazy eyes? Did he always look that intense?
I don't remember his eyes being crazy in this episode, but maybe.
Okay, so you know when they
because I enjoy them.
You know when they go into the apartment block where Mad Dog's family or grandmother and brother, I think, or sister are living, and they're like, you know, taking out floor by floor.
Yes.
Mad Dog walks in and he's got like a hoodie that has no arms because obviously he's got to show off his muscles, but he's wearing the hood up. And as he's walking down the hall or the corridor, and like he's clearly on a mission, his eyes looked so fucking creepy. He was trying to show like that he was like badass and he was focused and he was doing this thing. But I was like, oh my God, why do you look so scary? but like crazy scary.
Maybe that's why he got his name, because, sometimes if someone's looking at you the wrong way, you say that they're mad dogging you. Maybe that's,
Oh, I've never heard that expression.
oh, yeah. Maybe it's
That must be an
American.
American thing. Yeah. I mean, I get that they call him Mad Dog. I just imagine a mad dog, but I'd never realized that it could be used in that
Yeah,
context.
it's like a
So,
look in your eye.
well, okay, then this has come full circle because he looked freaking crazy. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
My next couple of notes actually kind of blur into one, and I think you'll get a real kick out of this. I've written, I love that Archie says to Jughead, well, what happens to Jellybean? I'd be like, who cares? And then I'm like, dot, dot, dot. Jellybean is my new Polly.
Yeah, she is.
Dot, dot, dot. Then my next line or my next note is, actually, where is Polly?
Yeah. Where the fuck is Polly? She's not been around for a while.
Now, do you think, and I might be wrong, I might have my like dates misconstrued. Is this like, would this line up with when she went off to film Once Upon a Time?
No, Once Upon a Time's been over.
Right, I knew it had finished, but I was like, oh, maybe if she was like just on it before it finished, maybe that's when these seasons lined up. But I wasn't sure if that those dates worked out.
No, I don't think so, because when we saw her in this season, at the beginning of this season, she had cut her hair, and her hair was too long at the end of Once Upon a Time, and I'm really good at seeing extensions, and it was her real hair. So, and
Okay.
Once Upon a Time's
Well,
been over for a bit.
okay, well then that obviously doesn't line
Well,
up.
maybe she's filming
I'm
something else.
I'm actually just having a look on IMDb, which I'm hoping it won't fail me.
Not twice in one
Let's
day.
see. Oh God, if it does, like I might have to just that might just be it for me. I can't even remember when Polly first makes her appearance. I've gone all the way back to season 1 to have a look on IMDb.
She was definitely in the
Uh,
first episode of this season.
that's what I thought too, but for whatever reason, she wasn't coming up. At least not quick enough. Maybe I wasn't patient enough. Okay, let's have a look. The River's Edge. Here we go. Du, 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 du. Oh my God, Miss Grundy. Forgot she was in this.
Oh yeah, R.I.P.
Oh wow, yeah. Did we ever work out who killed her? Was it
It was
Hal?
Hal.
It was Hal. Okay,
When
cool.
he did his whole monologuing with Betty and Alice in the house or whatever, I think he said something about how he found out about her and Archie and went after her or whatever
Right.
because of adultery and blah blah blah. Blah.
Yeah. And all of that. Oh, and the cleansing and everything like
Yeah.
that. Okay. I have found her. Let's see what she's been up to. Um oh, she's so pretty when she's not playing Polly. Look how beautiful her headshot is. Oh, and she's from Canada. She's going to be so lovely in real life. It's a shame she has to play such a pain in the ass person. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, so you're right. Once Upon a Time finished late 2018, so this certainly doesn't line up. Okay, in regards to her upcoming projects, let's have a look. Nope, I don't know what either of those mean. Okay, there's apparently she's got a film coming out soon. It's in post production, but it hasn't been picked up for distribution yet. Called Downloaded. Two friends build a makeshift scanner to digitize people. To their surprise, it works, and now you are trapped inside of a computer trying to work out how to escape.
Mm.
It doesn't say when it's going to be released, but I wonder if she was filming this and that's why she hasn't been available. It hasn't. She hasn't been available for filming. She's also got another one that's coming out that is in post-production also, called Two Hearts. It's a drama. I don't know if this is a movie or a show. Not sure. It doesn't have much about it at all. But if she's got two films in post production, she probably would have shot them back to back, I'm imagining. So maybe that's why she hasn't been around.
Yeah, and I mean, in context of the show, hopefully she's taking care of those twins, but who knows?
Well, I noticed that, one of the notes I put in here was about the comment that Betty makes about Juniper and Dagwood.
Mhm.
But I did notice that they inserted in there Cheryl's line of, yeah, the last time I saw them, they both looked great.
Yeah.
So they're obviously covering for the fact that we're not seeing Polly.
Mhm.
And, maybe she'll come back into it. But we haven't seen her since Alice's like baptism. And I use like quotation talking marks because it wasn't really a baptism because they drowned her.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen her since
Mhm.
then. What's the relationship with her and Alice like at the moment?
Yeah.
Alice had this moment of freaking out when she drowned in the bathtub and Betty rescued her and brought her back to life. But then she was, born again. And she's like, yeah, I know what I have to do. I need to go and be at the farm. But you think we would have seen Polly during that because there was a moment of panic on Polly's face where she's like, oh my God, actually, maybe this has gone too far.
Yeah, there totally was. And it would be interesting to see her kind of grapple with that and what does that mean? Like, did she really feel that she had done something wrong, and is she kind of seeing the error of her ways? And like, it would be interesting to see her when we do see her come back, because I think it's inevitable with the Colt storyline. We're not gonna be able to wrap that storyline with the farm up without her, because she's the one who
Yeah.
brought us there and all that stuff. But it would be interesting to see her come out of it and kind of wake up from it and try to get her kids out of there and try to help Betty in a way. It would be a really interesting redemption sort of thing for her.
Yeah, actually, wouldn't that be cool if Betty does end up falling for it and get sucked into the cult, and then all of a sudden Polly is the one that brings them out? I don't think she will be. I don't think she's enough of a main character for the attention to shift like that. But stranger things have happened. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know if it would be a total switch of in that way to make her like the main person for it, but it even just a simple kind of like getting Betty out of the farm in time, or like stopping her from, something like that, something more minimal, or passing her babies
Yeah.
off to Betty and being like, get them out of here. I can't right now, but I
Yeah,
need
like,
them to get out because this isn't right. Something like that would be really interesting.
although I feel like Polly is so far gone that maybe there isn't any redeeming
We'll
her.
have to see.
Yeah. I did like the comment though that Betty was like when she was talking to Cheryl, she's like, your nephew and niece, Juniper and Dagwood, are being raised to be toddler farmies. Ah, that made me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
I liked the toddler farmies line.
Yes, that was very good. It's so funny to look at my notes with I'm just looking over them with Cheryl and and the whole farm storyline, because I can see the progressions because I just wrote them as I watched, and the progression of them. First, I'm like, "Yay, Cheryl and Betty!" Like, I love when they like team up. It's so fun. But I have a bad feeling about this. Like, I from the get go, I had a bad feeling about Cheryl going in to be the spy inside of the farm. And then my next note is, did we forget that Cheryl's gay? Because she like talked about. I mean, maybe it's just the. I mean, they've never said that she's bi, but they made it pretty clear that she liked girls more than guys. It's not impossible for her to not like men, or to like men, but still, it seemed pretty as clear as they made it without saying it that she was primarily into girls. But then when she comes out of the interview, she's like, and yeah, wow, he's so cute, or like whatever. She said something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't read into that so much. I I think I just kind of took it on face value that, you know, gay people can still find the opposite gender attractive.
Yeah, but at least it's
You
not,
thought there was more of like a sexualization to it?
I don't know about that because he is much older than her, but it's just like from my gay friends that I know, like my friend who I've had for a really long time who's a lesbian, she never, and maybe that's just her, she never says about a guy that he's hot, like ever. She could be like, if I asked her, like, oh, is this guy attractive? She might be like, yeah, he's attractive. But she, of her own volition, isn't going to go, oh, yeah, that guy's super hot or whatever. I have
Right.
guy friends who are more, because women are more sexualized in society than men, who obviously go, like, oh, yeah, wow, her body is so amazing, or like whatever, stuff like that. It just was, maybe it was the context of it. I also don't think um, the a lot of I don't know how many lesbian writers are on Riverdale. I would assume probably not many, if any at all. Um,
Right.
and they just might not know the way to go about saying something like that in a way that feels truthful to a gay or lesbian person. You know what I mean? It was more of like, yeah, it was something about
Yeah.
how it was worded. It's not impossible for her to say that or to think that, but I think it was just the context of how she said it that didn't feel genuine to a person who has same sex oriented feelings. But I don't know.
Yeah, because it's never really been clarified. I know that she is certainly, you know, certainly does have the preference for women, but maybe she is bisexual, but just again, um, feels more drawn to women than she does men. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It was just a weird. There was like a moment where I was just like, what? But then in my notes, I just progressively keep going like, oh no, Cheryl. Like she's, I wrote Cheryl called him Eddie. That's not good.
Oh, I know, but I actually wrote that too. I was like, I love that Cheryl calls Edgar Eddie. I don't again, I don't think it was a sexual thing. I think that is more of a Cheryl-ism.
It just seemed to me like she was close with him. Like you don't call someone a nickname if you're not close with them. And I was like, oh no, no, like don't be close with him. No, she's gonna get sucked into the cult.
Well, she's already in now because she's seen her brother, she's spoken to her brother. She's like on board.
Yeah, no, I know. Just at that in that moment of the episode, it was like maybe she's still playing double agent, like maybe,
Right.
and then it was like no, 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 she's in it. She's sucked in.
But like how obvious was it that that was going to
I
happen?
mean, pretty obvious.
Pretty obvious. But it's Riverdale and we're just on this boat and we're going to ride through this all together. Oh, goodness. Well, speaking of when Cheryl is undercover, I loved um, Betty's reactions when she's either listening to the live interview or she's listening to the recordings that she steals later on. I absolutely loved it. I mean, we've talked before about how great Lily is at like expressions and things, but it was just so real, and I was just so drawn into what she was doing when she was reacting to hearing this information. It was just really organic and I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah,
She's great.
love her always.
One thing as well, in regards to Cheryl, that I thought was really strange was the fact that she so willingly went back to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy. Now, granted, the nuns are not there, nor are their practices as far as we know, but that was somewhere where she was tortured and tormented and emotionally abused. I know, God, as much as it pains me to say, there are some places that exist in my life that I won't physically go to because of an emotional experience that happened there. It it's so strange that both Betty and Cheryl would be so willing to go to this place where so much trauma happened to both of them.
Yeah, I agree. I think again that's writing coming from a place where they don't understand that kind of trauma, or for the sake of story are ignoring it.
I think they're just ignoring it. I think not everybody would have that same mindset because, again, you and I analyze the show, we break it down. Whereas most people who are watching the show are just taking it on face value. And they're not like, oh, God, wouldn't that character feel really weird going there? Wasn't she like in sex conversion therapy? It's for me, I'm like immediate, like red flag, don't go back to the place that caused you trauma. But for whatever reason, Betty and Cheryl have been perfectly fine anytime that they're in that place. Even, the same thing happened in the Heathers episode. They went and had a party at the Sisters of Quiet Mercy. I would never want to be there if I had been through what they had been through at that location.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, just an observation from the sidelines.
Yeah, no, I agree though. It is weird.
Yeah.
To go back a little bit, I just saw my note of this, and I thought about it when you were talking about Mad Dog inside that his old home or whatever that had been converted into like a drug front or whatever. Um, it there was something about the hall. I think it was just the hallway fighting scenes that reminded me of Daredevil. Did you watch Daredevil ever?
I did not.
Oh,
No, sorry.
if you just Google Daredevil hallway fight, there's this really epic fight scene, and it's in the first season of Daredevil, where he's before he even gets his like full costume and stuff, he's just in like black ninja kind of outfit, where he is trying to save this kid, and he has to fight all these guys by himself in this hallway, and it's just a one take, really epic, really well done fight sequence. It's really really amazing, and the just seeing the fighting in the hallways reminded me of it. Um, which is kind of
Are
funny.
you talking about are you talking about Daredevil the TV series or the movie?
The TV series, the Netflix series.
Oh, okay. I don't know why that made a difference. I haven't watched either, but still.
Yeah, no, the Netflix series, yeah. Although I did really love the movie as well. It used to be on HBO a lot when I was a kid, and I remember just I would always watch like the same three movies on HBO because they always played on like repeat. Um, and Daredevil was one of them, and I would watch it often. I know that people hate that movie, but I do have a fondness in my heart for it.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, I'm definitely gonna have to watch that because I'm curious now to see what it was like. I did have an absolute like gasp moment because I thought we were gonna lose Jughead for just a second.
Oh, when he went out the window.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
I mean, that was like you've already commented. The filming, the cinematography of that hallway fight was really nice. It was very stylized, and I was really on board for it. And even when Jughead and the what's that kid's name?
Kurt? Is it Kurt?
Yeah, I nearly said Kevin, and I was like, oh no, he's on our team.
I
Something
mean,
like that.
is he
His
though?
name. Oh well, not our sexual preference,
No.
Jenny,
I
but
mean, because he's with the farm now. Why does everything have to go there?
I don't know because there's so many different teams now, and that means so many different things. I'm confused. I've had a long day. I didn't know which team you were talking about.
I mean, Riverdale team.
um, but yeah, the where Kurt or whatever this kid's name is smushes Jughead through the window. Smush
Smush.
throws tackles him through the window, and they go flying down. I literally was like, "Oh my god, he's about to die. We're about to lose Jughead." But it looks like, even though there was such, a very dramatic burst through the window, it didn't look like they fell that far. They're both obviously injured, but not like life threatening.
Yeah, it was like a second story, maybe.
Yeah,
At
which
most.
would have freaking hurt.
Would freaking hurt. Yeah.
I mean, a friend of mine when we were kids fell out of a first floor room
Mm.
or an apartment, like fell out of the window. And, there wasn't even a foot from him falling from the window to the ground outside. And he still broke his arm.
Yeah. They were quite lucky.
They got superpowers. I tell you what, that's what they're about to announce next.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did you know all these characters have superpowers?
That would be an interesting twist.
Right? Dun, dun, dun. Well, I've only got one other note, and it was just in regards to how quickly all the inmates were released from prison. I thought that was pretty funny. I had a good giggle about it, and I was like, as somebody who has been through the legal system, not as being somebody who's been convicted, but somebody who's had to use attorneys to process visas, and there was a restraining order I had to get on somebody many moons ago, but that's a story for another time. But as somebody who has seen that legal process kind of firsthand, things do not happen that quick.
No, they don't.
It would have taken months and months and months and months. Even if they were pardoned, even if their charges were overturned, you're still going to be waiting months until somebody gets to your paperwork, processes it, and then you're released.
Yeah, and even then, there's probably some sort of court situation as well. You
Yeah.
just go in and see a judge to talk about it, and yeah, the legal system is very, very convoluted, and it's very timely.
Yeah. It's pretty insane, but anyway. That was just my final thought. Did you have any final notes?
I mean, did you? I do have a note about the lodges. I did say I was like the lodges are Catholic, so the idea of them getting divorced in general seems difficult, and probably something they probably wouldn't take lightly. But here we go, getting an annulment instead. Whatever.
Right. Oh, and the Monsignor
Oh,
doing house calls. Really? Okay.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's that. My only other note that's worth talking about was also I wrote daddy in there somewhere and I don't know who. I think I was probably referring to Edgar, but I don't know.
I didn't Cheryl call Edgar daddy? He's a total daddy?
Oh, maybe that was it? I don't remember. I wrote it in all caps and did multiple D's and multiple Y's, so I don't really know why I was so excited about that.
Oh God.
Because I don't
Oh,
take calling someone daddy lightly. Um, but my only other note was that I don't know if you noticed it, but it looked like KJ. I don't know if I'm not sure where this episode lined up in like their filming, like if this took place after a break or whatnot. I'm not really sure. I think maybe it did come after a break of some sort because it really looked like KJ had a little bit of a tan, like his cheeks were a little rosy the whole episode, which comes from him being fair skinned and probably being in the sun. He also looked a little tanner and he had a nice like haircut, like he had just cut his hair. He looked really nice this episode. I don't know what it was about him, but he looked just very cute this episode. And he's always cute, but he looked like refreshed.
oh no, I didn't notice that at
Yeah,
all.
he just looked a little like rosier, maybe a little like just a little bit tanner. I don't think he's the kind to get a spray tan either, so I feel like especially with the rosiness, it seemed like some genuine time in the sun.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Yeah, just a petty noticed thing from me.
I did not notice it at all, and if I go back and I rewatch it, I will certainly keep an eye out for
Well, good, it's important.
it. So, what rating do you give this episode then?
Well, since it was just kind of like there was some good story points and there was some solid like information, all of the stuff with the farm and finding out that they're talking to loved ones and stuff. Like, I think that's important, and I'm interested to see where that goes. So I'm excited that that kind of like propelled the story forward. So I'd probably say like a B plus because I'm not like eager to go watch it again.
No, me either. And I kind of struggled watching it a second time, even though, like I said, I'm back and on board with the farm storyline and just Riverdale in general. but I struggled to watch it through the second time. In fact, I didn't get all the way through to the end. But again, I'm back on board, which is, I think, the takeaway from this. I would give it a B plus as well. I think it's very hard to follow something like a musical episode, which was so great. It's obviously not going to compete unless you've got something of exactly the same caliber, which this wasn't.
Yeah,
But
it
again,
was funny too. I felt like, and I don't think I felt this way after the last musical episode. So maybe it was just because this one had done so well and I had enjoyed it so much. But I was definitely like waiting for there to be a song moment, and that never came, obviously. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, solid B plus. I'm excited for the next episode and more revelations, I hope.
yeah, definitely.
And we probably need a little bit of topless Chad Michael Murray. That would be okay.
You know what's funny? There was something, and I think it was the vest. I know I've talked about it before, and it's been a thing that I've been really interested and really into for the past couple months. But Critical Role, the DM, the dungeon master on Critical Role, the guy who kind of tells the story and weaves the thread, that person is this guy Matthew Mercer, and he's a really big voice actor, really really
Okay.
popular, and he's really really talented. Um, he always wears like some sort of like vest thing when he's DMing. So he'll sit behind the screen and like guide the game and stuff like that. And then when they get to fights and things like that, he'll stand up to kind of be more active, to be able to move the pieces around and to kind of act out moments and things like that. And because of that, he has a little bit of body dysmorphia, but that he's been really open about. That's been really interesting to hear him talk about. So because he struggles with that, he wears like these long vests and stuff. So there was something about Chad Michael Murray in that vest that made me think about Matthew Mercer and like the vest thing. And I was like, Matthew is very attractive, but I was like, this is an interesting, like, if you had queer eyed Matthew Mercer, I feel like he would look like that. And it was just very funny, very niche. So if anyone else is a Critical Role fan, they'll understand what I'm saying. But
Okay, because I'm like, I'm a bit lost. I mean, I can follow you. I knew what you were saying, but I was like, what?
you're like, why does this apply to me? It doesn't. It was just a thought I
What?
had. I couldn't stop thinking it during the episode with him. So
Well, thank you for sharing. I do hope that our listeners, wherever they may be in the world, understand that reference a little bit more than I do. But I appreciate you for sharing
this
it.
is the crossover place for Riverdale and Critical Role.
Oh, Lordy. So, what would Betty do this episode?
Betty would she would find out some truths. She would do some sleuthing. But she would also learn that if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself, because otherwise you're going to get your
Yes,
cousins into a
amen.
cult.
Yep, exactly. Get your cousin, enroll in that cult, and then maybe do the same? Question
Yeah, I
mark.
think it's going that way, because I think if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah, and I think she'll probably think, look, let me go in and pretend like I'm on board with this, but then she's going to get sucked in.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen her do a really good job of doing some good as Betty, because obviously Lily's a great actor, but we've seen Betty as well put on a show and do the act when she needs to.
Yeah.
We saw her do it at Sisters of Quiet Mercy, but she's really going to have to go hard on it to get into the farm, because she has put up such a big show of being against them. So we'll have to see what happens with that, because either it's going to go where she is so good at acting it, we believe that she's sucked in even if she isn't, and we won't get it would be interesting for them not to give us because we kind of, the last time she did that, got a view into her mind and she was kind of narrating. I feel like that they do it again, we won't get that, so we might believe that she's sucked in when she's not, or she's going to be sucked in.
Only time will
Yeah,
tell.
yeah.
All right, everyone. We'll catch you next week for another episode of Betty Squared. Bye.
Bye.